Okay, you can go ahead, Mayor Duma.
Okay, thank you, Holly. Good morning, everyone. This is the Emergency Services Committee meeting of February 24th, 2021, commencing at 9:02 a.m. It is a Zoom meeting and it's being transmitted live via our YouTube channel. So I have called the meeting to order. Are there any additions or amendments to the agenda? I would like under new business to add one item, and that is the freshet or spring runoff, and just to get it onto this agenda, and just a brief comment in regards to that. Okay, so with that that amendment to the agenda, could I have someone move the amended agenda?
I will.
Moved by Councillor Harper,
I'll second it.
By Councillor Shala. All in favor? Opposed?
Or,
It's carried. Thank you. With the business before us this morning, does any member of council wish to disclose a pecuniary interest? Hearing none, thank you. Unfinished business. We tabled the fire permit resolution at the February council meeting. There were questions and comments, and I felt that it was fair and appropriate that Fire Chief Kruger be available to be part of that conversation. So we have brought that report back. It was in regards to the report that he provided council in November. And so I would open this for discussion at this point. Just a couple of comments before we get into the discussion. It would be my recommendation if this go forward that there be indicated that there would be no fees, and possibly looking at it down the road for implementation of fees. And I would recommend if council went forward with this, that there be no fees used for this process. And with that, I don't know, Chief Kruger, if you wanted to make any comments or if council wished to bring their questions forward at this point in time that they had at the regular council meeting in February, or the beginning of February.
Good morning. Thank you, Your Worship. I don't have anything to add. I'm willing to answer any further questions based on previous discussion and the letter that I sent out to all of council a week or so ago. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them.
Mayor Dumas.
Go ahead, Councillor Harper.
I don't have any questions concerning the letter, but I do have some comments. I'm still in the impression that we do not need a fire permit for campfires. This whole program, this burn permit program, somewhere along the line, it's going to cost our taxpayers money, whether it's directly or indirectly. Just setting it up, you've got to buy it. I understand there's a fee for every transaction within the program. I don't think we need it. I've been here for over 50 years. I have never seen a problem with campfires. I haven't seen a problem with any type of fire in this part of the country. 30% is all that's under control by the municipality. The rest, the other 70% in South Algonquin is Crown land. It's my understanding that they are not required to go under any type of program. We don't have any control on that area. To me, it doesn't make any sense just to do it for 30%. And with 1,200 residents within our municipality, I just can't see the point in having a program like this. Again, I've never seen a problem with campfires in backyards. I don't think people should have to pay for them, should have to get a permit for them. If you want to put it bluntly, there's a lot of people around here that feel it's a God-given right to have a campfire on a Friday night. And they don't want to be bothered. They're already up to their shoulders in rules and regulations, particularly now with the pandemic. I don't think it should be our place to put more rules and regulations on our citizens. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Councillor Harper. Anyone else?
I'd like to add to Councillor Harper's remarks.
Go ahead, Councillor Florent.
I can see that this system would or could install a false sense of security in the members of the fire department, thinking that they are going to know where all the fires are. That certainly is not true at all. As Councillor Harper pointed out, only 30% of the land in South Algonquin is privately owned land, then would under this require a permit. Whether it's written into the record or not, there's a referendum out there, and there's 165 signatures on that. From what I understand, I haven't actually seen it. I'm hoping that it gets into the record by the council meeting on March the 3rd, which I would assume would be the date that we would be voting on this issue. And when I swore my oath of office, I swore to represent the people, and that's what I intend to do. I don't intend to support this motion at all.
Thank you for that comment. Any other comments?
Mayor?
Councillor Shala and then Councillor, Sandra Collins. Shala, go first. Thank you.
I was kind of objected to the idea initially when it was first put on the table, because it's certainly against the fee. And even if the fee was, even if there was no fee for the first couple of years as suggested, I certainly didn't agree that there should be a fee at any time. I did, however, reconsider and think that if there wasn't a fee for the resident, that it would be a means of providing a spontaneous information message to the residents of South Algonquin. Now, it certainly won't catch the 70%, or actually 80%, I think it's closer to, of Crown land users, and there's many of them. But in saying that, I've been to quite a few cottage association meetings, and a concern that the residents at the cottage, at the lakes have, is Crown land campers and leaving fires going. And I wouldn't doubt over time those residents have extinguished some of those fires after they've been left burning when the camper's gone home. But they are concerned about this. And I just thought that if we could provide a message to the public by this burn permit, from what I've been reading in it, I think that is possible. But I've only had two people approach me on this issue. They were both against it. But at the same time, I'm wondering and listening, and I kind of agree with what's been said prior here. We have a system set up now where people are supposed to get a burn permit, and you're only allowed to burn at a certain time of the day. And I guess what I'm wondering is, to simplify it and less regulate, is it possible, if we didn't go this route, that we could have a simplified, easy access for all residents, that they could check the fire conditions within the township at any time, and prior to burning, and when it required updating, it would be fairly simple also, if it could be simple for our township staff, and not spend too much time. Because when I look at the cost of this, and I'm thinking, it's all about using up so many credits for certain things, and I don't know what's going on my screen here, but am I still online?
Yes, you are, Richard. We
Okay.
hear you.
Something all went. I don't know what happened here, but anyway, I guess what I'm thinking of, when I look at the credits and I look at the minimum fee, if 1,200 residents actually got a permit, and every time we send it or we update it, will use up credits. So I really don't know. I guess I don't know if anybody knows, or do we have an estimated cost of whether it will be $500 or it'll be $5,000 or more? So I don't know. I'm just wondering can we number one, we should be separating campfires from fires that we burn brush or whatever. But also, can we do this? Maybe we can simplify this. I don't know that we could do it in-house, less cost, and we don't have to belong to a burn permit site or whatever, and still get the job done. Keep the people happy. I've seen that petition before that came this morning on my computer, and anyway, I don't know where it was put out, and today people aren't even looking at petitions. They don't want to touch a pen that somebody else has used. So I don't know whether there could have been more people actually sign up or less people or where it was, and I guess that'll be before us at the next meeting. But I'm just thinking that, can we do this? Can we simplify it if we don't go this route? But to be honest, I thought it was a good messenger, and it wouldn't get all those people, but I'm concerned about the cost, and if does anybody have an idea of actually what the cost might be at the end of the year if we go this route? Thank you.
And thank you, Councillor Shala. Holly has put up on our page right now that you can see that there is a notice that people can check for that would be updated on a daily basis if we were in a fire situation, not in a fire situation, I mean in a close down of campfires, etc. And it's the day burning permit required, and then there would be details on there. So we do have a means of getting the information out currently, even at this point in time. Don, did you have any response in regards to Councillor Shala's questions in regards to the money part of this notification system?
Yes, thank you. So I'd just like to say, Councillor Shala, you are correct. The main purpose of this change is so that we can get information out to the residents of the township through emails, text messages, and the website that would be provided. As far as the fee structure or the costs, it's $500 is the base rate. They suggested, or like the people at burnpermits.com that I spoke with suggested that based on our population size, that the $500 for that number of credits would be sufficient for our township based on the projected buy-in. And so there would be $500 probably every 2 or 3 years, depending on how many people actually use the system. So that would be the only cost. The rest of it, the phone number, the setting up of the website, the burnpermits.com people look after that for us, and they maintain it, so we don't have to do anything with it. And then as far as the use of the credits, based on actually, I believe it was your recommendation, I did look into, and we can separate the permit system into basically it's just a checkbox, whether or not you check one box if you're going to be burning brush or that sort of thing. You check another box if you're just getting a fire permit because you want to have campfires throughout the course of the summer or whatever. And quite frankly, we could even put on a disclaimer saying that if you are checking the box that you just want to have your burn permit because you wish to have campfires, that they don't need to notify the system every time they're having a campfire. It's more so the larger fires that we would be concerned about. So we could tailor the system to indicate, okay, I just want to get a burn permit in order to have campfires with my kids or grandkids. They check off that box, and then that's it. They're done for the year. They have the permit, they have access to the system, so they're gonna get notifications when there's a change in the daytime burning rating, or if there's a fire ban going in place.
If I could, I
Oh.
looked at,
Excuse me, I'm still waiting.
That's a follow-up question, Councillor Collins. I haven't forgotten you.
Okay.
yes, I guess what I'm looking at is, I'm just thinking, I believe I've heard Allen Lake has like 230 cottages. Am I right or wrong? Or approx?
Close. Close.
Okay. And then you look at Hay Lake, you look at Bark Lake, you look at Mackenzie Lake, Macaulay, lot of cottages and campfires go hand in hand. And if you just looked at those cottages, if we have approximately 500, we have 1,200 residents. And I think if a resident, I think the way I've seen it on the site here, this burn permit site, is you use up 10 credits to get your permit. But then each time, I believe, I guess maybe I didn't understand it properly. So if we have for the $500, use up 10 permit, if you use up, we'll just take 1,200 residents in our township, or 1,200 residents. So use up 10 for each one. That's double the $500 in cost right there. And every time someone like yourself, Don, that would, I imagine, or unless you'd leave that to the deputy chiefs or the township, to put a message out there, there's more credits used. So I'm really wondering, like I've got, I guess we won't know until the end of 1 year trial basis if we did go this route. But I could see where it could cost us $2,500 to $5,000, because if you have to keep updating all the time, every time you update, use so many credits. Am I right or wrong about that?
You're half right, Counselor. So they do use the credits when they log on to the system, but
Yes.
we don't pay for the extra credits. Like when they use those credits, we're not paying for that. We pay the $500. It gives us X number of credits. And if we were to go over our credit limit, then we would have to pay extra. But the $500, it was felt that that would be enough. That would give us enough credits for our population size and the projected use. So it
Okay.
wouldn't cost us any extra.
Okay.
Okay, Councillor Collins, go ahead.
I sort of have a very broad spectrum answer to all of this. Our bylaw actually takes campfires of a certain size, and the bylaw is very well written, and campfires are not included. And I also think that if we go along this route and we insist that people have burn permits, who is going to be out there policing it? That we don't have bylaw inspection that work in the evening. So who is going to be going around and saying, hey, you haven't got a permit for that fire? And I think until we can sort that out, there's no point having something that people can either do or not if we not actually have a bylaw inspector. So the whole thing seems to be a moot point. We have a permit system for brush and burning garden waste, etc. Can we not just make that electronic and leave the actual campfires out of it completely? Campfires in our bylaw are, I think it says, a meter in diameter, enclosed, so an adult stays with it at all times. We actually have our bylaw very well written. I don't believe we need an extra permit, but I do believe that to turn the burn permit for brush fires and people burning leaves that generates an awful lot of smoke and people can get worried, maybe we can make that electronic. But I don't believe we need anything else if we're not going to go out there and enforce it with bylaw enforcement. It seems a wasted effort to me. That's all I have to say on it.
Thank you, Councillor Collins. I think those are very good points that you've made, and I think that council should consider this input as well.
So can I
Does-
just, sorry, can I just ask a question of Councillor Collins?
Go ahead, Holly.
So I just wanted to be clear, you don't see any value in us being able to send information out, create a database of those who are burning in South Algonquin and actually send information out to them through the app. You don't think that's valid?
I think we have a website, and I think that if people are going to go online, they're going to be looking at the website. And if those people are not digital or IT minded, they're not going to go on anywhere, and they're not going to look at anything else if they're not going to look at the website. And you've shown very clearly at a glance, we can put that information there.
So if I may, Counselor, the bylaw does include campfires. It actually says campfires, but it also is worded, it says any open flame. So a campfire is an open fire or is an open flame. So not only does it say any open fire or open flame, but it does include campfires. The only difference is in the schedule, I think it's Schedule B or Schedule C of the bylaw, that talks about campgrounds, right? And so then the campgrounds have a little bit of leeway if they're using a small fire for cooking or warmth. So our bylaw does include campfires, and we are already regulating that. As far as enforcement, no, we don't go out and inspect fire pits. We don't go out and make sure that everyone has a burn permit. However, the problem that we have is that if there is a complaint or, somebody starts a larger fire that requires the fire department to attend, if they don't have a permit, then they could argue that, well, I didn't know the rules and I didn't think I needed to have a permit because we haven't done anything with permits in the past. And then that leaves us no recourse as far as cost recovery or enforcing of the bylaw. So that's part of the issue. And then the other part is the communication piece. And yes, we have our website, but this system allows us to send email or text messages or even phone calls directly to everyone that would log on and get a permit. So if there is a change, so we go from day burning to nighttime burning only, or from day burning or nighttime burning only to a full fire ban, this system allows us to communicate directly with everyone. It's not reliant on them logging onto our website to check it. We can send them a message directly, and it's therefore a lot more proactive and allows us to make sure that people are aware that, for example, when the province puts on a fire ban, that there is no burning allowed whatsoever, rather than hoping that they either drive by one of our signs or that they've been on the township website.
Thank you. Any member
I'd
of
like to
council?
make another point.
Go ahead, Councillor Florent.
There seems to be a lot of emphasis on the ability to get the message out. First of all, you're only going to get the message out to the people that apply for a permit. I think last year there was like 5 people in the whole township applied for a burn permit or permission from the fire chief to burn. Even if you had 100% compliance with everybody that has a computer and every single person that had a computer got a permit, so then you would reach out to much of the population. I'm just guessing, but I would say somewhere between 25 and 35% of the families in South Algonquin don't have a computer and would not be using the online service. Even if they needed a permit, they would be going through the township office. So that, again, I go back to the false sense of security, because you're putting the message out there doesn't mean that very many people are seeing it. It could only be a half a dozen people in the whole township see your message. And then you're thinking, well, I got the message out there. Everybody knows that you can't do this. It's not true at all.
So
Go ahead.
if I can just answer that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So with all due respect, Counselor, you're wrong.
No, I'm not.
The system gives us the opportunity to send out emails and text messages or phone calls. So when the people register for a fire permit through this system, they can choose whether they wish to get an email, or if they don't have a computer or they don't have internet, then they may choose to receive the message via text message or a phone call from the system. So as long as they sign up for the system and they get their permit, we are able to reach them by a number of different ways. And as far as your other point about the number of people that are using it, you're right. Right now, we have next to nothing as far as buy-in from people getting fire permits. I'm hoping that by making this system easier for people to access, that number will increase. It may be slowly at first, but we're hoping that as people realize that, hey, this is actually a pretty good system and it allows me to be provided information from the township, that number will steadily increase. So we're not looking for 100% compliance right off the hop, but we are hoping that as time goes on, that compliance number will raise. And I would rather go for a slow, steady increase than just stay at nothing the way it is right now.
Well, thank you for reinforcing my position.
Yeah. Any
Mayor
other?
Dumas?
I'm sorry, who is that?
Mayor Dumas?
Councillor Harper, I'd like to see if there's other members that haven't spoken yet, would like to speak,
Okay,
and then
no
I'll come
problem.
back to you.
No
Thank you
problem.
very much. Do any of the other members of council that haven't spoken yet wish to speak on this? If not, then I'll go back to Councillor Harper.
I think Councillor Bongo and Councillor Vermeer would like to say something.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Vermeer.
I'll let Bongo go first because he did
Okay.
have his hand up earlier.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm watching the
Close to
agenda.
you.
That's
I don't-
okay.
I apologize. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Bongo.
Sure. Thank you very much. A really good discussion all around. If we were to vote on this, I would definitely want some specific wording to say that this system would remain free for the future. And as I understand, so that there would be wording as well to emphasize that it is voluntary as well, and further that there are no penalties also enforced, so that, you know, if council does adopt this, that people that do not wish to participate in the burdenpermits.com system, that they're not penalized in a kind of fee kind of way. The public is very weary or wary about additional regulation and additional fines and the additional penalties and all that kind of stuff. And then just a comment about the bylaw itself. I think at the moment it says that fire pits will be inspected. So and I know that the chief has been very clear that that is not the intention of the department to inspect people's fire pits. So just to also make sure that that is also very clear in the bylaw as well. My other question is, how do people that do not have the internet or do not have computers, how do they sign up? Will there be an opportunity to sign up for this system by phone, for example? And ultimately, I do have a kind of an ending question for the chief. If we do not adopt this system, do we have to update the bylaw so that we clarify that recreational campfires are not involved with the burdenpermits.com?
Thank you, Councillor. So yeah, you had a lot in there.
Sorry, yeah.
So as it stands right now, the inspection of the fire permit thing was upon request. And then certainly if there was a complaint and the fire department attended, then that would become more into play. But that all of the enforcement items under the burn bylaw as it's currently written would fall under that category. The fire department's not going to go out and be, you know, inspecting everybody's burn permits and contacting bylaw to lay charges. But if they do respond to a complaint, then that's when the bylaw is typically brought into the conversation. There is wording about the fire pit and it being approved, but what it needs to be able to be approved is written in the bylaw. So the other part of, hopefully adopting this system is it allows people to have access to the bylaw and how it's written and the rules that it lays out. Excuse me. As far as the fee structure, it's been quite clear. I think every member of council's indicated that they'd rather that it be a free system. And I don't have a problem with that. The $500 every other year or every third year, I think is something that we can certainly manage. So that's not a concern. I'm sorry, what was your other point? You had one other point there that you.
No penalties.
Yes, so that is part of the current bylaw. There is, people are supposed to get a permit before they have a fire. The way the bylaw is currently written right now. So, if the bylaw department was so inclined, they could actually charge someone for not having a permit when they have a fire.
Okay. Follow-up, Councillor Bongo?
Yeah, I guess so. Currently at the moment, so as it stands right now, technically you have to have a permit even to have a recreational fire, and in which case people could be penalized for not having one, but we're just not enforcing the permit system, right?
That is correct.
Mm-hmm. So does that mean that, so again, I guess if the majority of council is voting against this, then I mean, we're still left with like a I don't know, like a messy bylaw where we have an unclear specification about getting permits and a fee, a penalty attached to that, and we're just not doing anything about it. So I guess I'm just trying to look into the future here and just try to think, okay, so if we're not going to adopt this permitting system, then are we ready to go and update the bylaw, if you know what I mean?
Yes, no, you're absolutely right. So and that is my concern, and I believe I did lay this out in the letter I sent out too, right? Part of the problem is that it leaves us with no recourse in the event of somebody's campfire or burning of brush starts a house on fire or starts a wildfire where we have to call the MNRF in.
Question.
Have no recourse to recuperate our loss through our bylaws because we're not enforcing them. So for me, that's a problem. I mean, I know people don't like to talk about, laying charges or instituting fees for cost recovery and that sort of thing. But I mean, ultimately, if we don't, the taxpayer is going to foot the bill for all of this, that kind of stuff. And just as an example, if someone were to have a campfire and leave it unattended or not extinguish it fully, and that campfire starts a wildfire, that we have to call in the MNRF to extinguish because either it's on Crown land or we're not capable of extinguishing the fire ourselves, we could be looking at thousands and thousands of dollars to put that fire out. I actually just got the email a couple of days ago from the MNRF with their fee structure for the 2021 season. And just for something like calling in the bird dog plane that flies overhead and looks at the size and where the fire is to locate a wildfire, the fee starts at around $1,500 an hour for that plane plus fuel costs. And then if they have to call in helicopters or the bigger planes to actually put out the fire, we would be looking at upwards to $3,000 an hour for the bigger planes. And, you know, that starts getting pretty pricey. And the MNRF will send us a bill for that. So, you know, if we have no way of trying to recuperate some of our costs, that's coming directly out of the taxpayer's wallet.
Mhm.
Thank you. All right. Councillor Vermeer, go ahead.
Hey, Chief. I just wanted to say thank you for clarifying that, because that was one of my questions regarding cost recovery from the MNRF, but you've obviously taken care of that. And I just wanted to state for the record that my constituents are certainly not in favor of a fee for permit system. But when I did explain to them that the benefits of the system would allow the system to actually provide information to them through text messages, you know, I haven't met very many people that don't at least have a cell phone to receive text messages, and they could see the benefit of that. Whether or not they actually go about and take out a permit is a whole other issue, but I just wanted to get that on the point that my constituents are not in favor of the fee for permit, but they do see the benefit in the system as an informational vehicle. Thank you.
Very good.
Actually, if I may, Mayor Dumas,
ahead.
thank you for that, Councillor. The other question actually, and Councillor Bongo did ask about if somebody doesn't have a computer, how they could use the system. They could still come into the township office, and the office staff could log them on through the online system. They would then have to provide a phone number for text messages and that sort of thing. So even if they don't have a computer, they can still get logged onto the system. We would physically do it for them, and then they would just provide us with a phone number, and then they would still be able to get the messaging through that.
I think we could also make that service available at our libraries.
Mhm.
Probably, yes.
All right, I'm going to wrap this up shortly. Councillor Harper, you had one further comment?
Yes, I did. It has to do with notifications. I understand, or should be, still putting signs up around the municipality during a fire ban. And local radio stations always advertise it during fire bans. So people are more likely hear it on the radio or see it alongside the highway than they are to get it on their computers, because a lot of people I represent don't have computers. Thank you.
All right. I think what I would like to do with this, with the permission of council, since it's snowing very heavily right now, I think that I would ask the chief to go back and look at this in light of it being voluntary, no fee, that we implement all the means. We want to become more diverse in our ability to contact our constituents, and I think that this program will do that. We still have means, Councillor Harper. It was the intent of the chief that physical signs would also continue to go up in the event of changes in the fire status within the township. And we will use every means, local media, radio, etc. We want to be multimedia in our approach to things with this township going forward. And the bylaw would have to be looked at. So I would respectfully say to council that I would like to send this back to the chief and bring it back to our next EMS meeting so that we have the bylaw revised, so that we have a process indicating how this system would work in South Algonquin. As I said, free, voluntary, that we use it to get the message out. I think it's critically important that we move into the future with this type of notification processes. And I think that it deserves the look and have these documents come forward at another EMS meeting so that then we can bring it to council for a fulsome vote when it reflects what has been discussed at this meeting today. I would hope that that's council. I have the agreement of council to go forward with that. And Chief Kruger, if that's something that you could look into and have put together for our next emergency services meeting. All right. Okay, thank you very much. We'll go to the next item on the agenda. And that is the firefighter pay structure for the officers. And that would be you, Chief Kruger.
Yeah, again, I think I laid it all out in the report. So I'm just, if there are any questions.
Are there any questions of council in regards to the pay structure? All right.
Uh,
I have a question,
I have a
Mayor
comment.
Dumas.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sandra.
When you laid it out originally, Chief Kruger, you said that you were considering reducing the hourly rate for the guys down to $15 an hour. And I think this is awful. I think to offer them a bonus, I think is wonderful for training, but to actually reduce the hours, to reduce the rate to $15, I think is the most awful thing I've ever heard. You're asking people to turn out and potentially risk their lives, but turn out in the hours when most of us would be running away from this, and to reduce their rate to $15 an hour, which is less than the lowest paid workers in township, I think is disgusting, quite honestly.
Just interject. I think there was a misunderstanding there before you go ripping staff any further down. I think the misunderstanding was that the bylaw is written right now to have them paid at $27 an hour when they're fighting fire. And there might have been some convolution in that bylaw that was produced by council. So let's not be disgusted by staff, please.
Your interpretation is incorrect.
Mine or Sandra's?
Yours.
Okay, can someone clarify it then? Because I don't think it's Don's fault that we're in the situation that we're in.
No, it's not Don's fault. And actually, this issue isn't even on the agenda. This is a separate issue that Don agreed to take back and look at again. Today, I think we're talking about the reducing the pay of the former deputy chiefs to the captain rate.
Well, I think I will step in here, and since I don't have the email that Chief Kruger explained this in, again, I would ask that we take this back to our next EMS meeting and have it outlined what the pay structure is for all the members of the fire departments in the varying situations where pay rate may change, et cetera. I think it's good to look at this. And I think that I would respectfully ask council that, again, that we take this back to the next EMS meeting, have Chief Kruger bring forward the pay schedule so that we can all see it and understand it, and go forward and make decisions based on information that is correct and that is sitting in front of us. So I think I will table this to the next meeting and have it come forward with a report prior to the meeting so that we can all go through the numbers and understand them and have a good sense of the pay structure for our fire department. And we want it to be competitive and respectful for sure. And I know that's the chief's intention as well. So thank you very much. I think I will table that one till the next meeting and bring it forward with the other report in regards to the permits. Go ahead, Chief Kruger.
Yeah, I just want to say, Councillor Florent is correct. I did, initially I had talked about the pay for the firefighters, but I was incorrect in my assessment of that. And so I had agreed to shelve that because it does require further study. This discussion was just supposed to be about the pay for the two officers that were initially deputy chiefs, and they were reduced in rank to captain. And this was just supposed to be about putting their pay rate in line with the rest of the captains.
Thank you for that. And I think, again, it would be good to see that in the context of all the pay rates that are used in the fire department, Chief Kruger, and would ask respectfully that you come back to us with, with pay grids, et cetera, for the fire department.
with all due respect, we've already received this information. It was on the table to vote at the last council meeting. You chose incorrectly to table this one along with the other one that there was some confusion over. There was never any confusion over this issue.
Well, I'm sensing confusion not only with me, but with other members of council. And as I say, let's get it right so that we all understand what it is.
Well, with all due respect, I think you're the only one that didn't understand.
Well, thank you for your insight, Councillor Florent. We'll go forward. So we're at new business, and I would like, this is the expense and revenue bylaw. Would that be you, Holly?
Sorry, no. This is a discussion that Sandra had brought up regarding the fire establishment bylaw, and she had asked us to put it on the agenda so that we could talk about, I believe, rescue discussion.
Oh, I apologize. I obviously didn't know what the ENR stood for. So Councillor Collins, this is your issue?
With all due respect, again, I think it was Councillor Vermeer's issue. It was about responding to water access only properties.
No, it was about the number of snowmobiles and ATVs that we have and who should be responding and assisting the EMS.
But the staff report concerns itself with access, firefighting to water access only properties.
Next item.
That's the next item on the agenda.
If I may.
Sure, go ahead, Chief Kruger.
So, yes, so the ENR bylaw is the establishing and regulating bylaw for the fire department. And the reason this is on here, I mean, we have a number of issues to discuss with regards to the ENR bylaw, but this is on here today specifically in response to Councillor Vermeer's discussion about the water access properties. The reason that the ENR bylaw discussion is on here is because as it's currently written right now, our ENR bylaw says that we do not do water access only properties. So if we are to address the water access issue, we need to first discuss changes or possible changes to the ENR bylaw to allow us or our firefighters to provide that service. So that's why this is on there. There are a couple other things that if we are going to redo the ENR bylaw that certainly need to be included, but this was specifically about the water access only properties.
So that is, I presume you're leading into your staff report then in regards to the fire service to water access properties. Would that be correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so then I would suggest that we go to that report. If it could be put up on the screen.
So can I just ask, prior to us going away from this, Sandra, did you have comments that you wanted to make regarding rescue?
Well, obviously I have, because our fire department, even on their trucks, there's fire and rescue. And we've gone round and round this subject many, many times, I know. But who is responsible for going out when snowmobilers are injured and the paramedics don't go? Who is going out there to stop people dying? The Whitney Fire Department has its own sled. Both of the fire departments have rescue toboggans. Are they sitting there doing nothing while someone's vital signs are such that somebody should be going out there immediately, even if it's to offer initial saving of life? I think we really do need to address this. And when I brought it up last time, I think it was said, well, we're getting a new fire chief, let's put this back into his court, and he is to decide what the fire department will do and not do. And I think we've had a mishmash with the OPP saying, or people saying we pay OPP. They will not do rescue. They go out there, they do recovery. By the time they actually get there, we're possibly talking 2.5, 3 hours before the OPP get to a site with a snowmobile by the time they trailer it, bring in staff from Killaloe, etc., etc. Paramedics can't and won't go into the bush. They can't get their ambulance and their paramedic staff actually into the bush. Who is responsible for going in and stopping these people potentially bleeding out or dying? And that was what had been brought up. And I've brought this up several times, but the last time it was brought up, it was very much left, well, let's see what the new fire chief wants to do about this. So I'm sorry, Don, it's a question over to you, please. Are we going to be doing some sort of initial rescue, some sort of initial getting the paramedics in or not? What's your thoughts on this?
So as I mentioned about the ENR bylaw, this is one of the issues that we need to clarify with our ENR bylaw as to what exactly we will and will not do. As far as the way things are written right now, our ENR bylaw just says we will assist paramedics. And so at the current time, our firefighters will go in and assist paramedics by, helping bring people out off the trails to an ambulance that would be waiting, at the nearest roadway. I certainly welcome council's wishes on this matter. The way it is right now, we are providing that service because our ENR bylaw doesn't state we won't. So that's why, again, I mentioned that the ENR bylaw needs some revisions. This is one of those areas where it needs to be laid out a little bit more clearly what we will and what we won't do. And other than that, I have my personal feelings on that, but I don't think this is the place for that. So the way it stands right now, we are providing that service because our paramedics can't, the OPP won't, and Renfrew County, their Sierra team is, at best an hour and a half away, which leaves it up to us. And so we are currently still doing that. There has been no changes.
All right. So again, I think that's something that we need to take back to look at the bylaw and then have that discussion, council have that discussion as to what we feel, if we feel our volunteer fire department is equipped adequately. And I think that that's something that we have to have that discussion again and be clear about it as well. So we have a to-do list here for fire services. And I think that this is another thing that we have to add on to it to have the discussion. Because it is a volunteer fire department. There is no, we are very fortunate. We have very dedicated volunteer fire individuals. There could be a time that there wasn't, enough available to go. So I think it's something as a small municipality who has a very extensive snowmobile system throughout our township. And as we see, even in COVID, that these trails are very, very busy. I think we have to look at this in a very fulsome manner in relation to manpower and equipment. So I would say to Chief Kruger, this is something that council feels is important and that we need to look at, and ask that, we have a meeting with you that we would address that concern at and get your thoughts on it. Very much would like to hear those thoughts. And I think if it comes down to the township of South Algonquin rate, taxpayers having to pay to upgrade our fire department to monitor and fire provide rescue services on a very extensive trail system, then I think we have to go back to the Federation of Snowmobile Clubs and get some buy-in from them. This cannot be solely on the backs of the taxpayers of South Algonquin to equip a fire department to do rescue. when we have, when we have trails that are used by a large amount of individuals from the province of Ontario when the season is open. So I would think that council would want to consider all those factors when we look at our bylaw in regards to this.
Mayor?
Councillor Shala, go ahead.
Yes, if I'm allowed to. We've talked about this before. We've a number of times, as previously mentioned. I actually attended a meeting one time. It was at the Lester Smith building when we had various agencies there regarding rescue. When I left that meeting, and my opinion hasn't changed, I believe the responsibility of the OPP, their mandate of the OPP is search and rescue. We've talked about the amount of Crown land here. It's not taxpayers' property, it's Crown land. That's where the majority of these trails are. And rather than put the fire chief in a spot where he's trying to defend what he thinks that the township council wants, possibly we should be sorting out whose mandate it is for this. If it is OPP, then then we give that direction to the fire chief to prepare the bylaw. But if we get him to he works for us. So, and I appreciate his efforts here. He's certainly working at trying to get a number of bylaws straightened out. But at the same time, I think we have to decide, and I can sense that maybe in your voice here, in your comments, that it is the mandate. It's not the mandate of the township, but I don't know if it's the mandate of the Snowmobile Club. Possibly I think the mandate is the best of my knowledge. If we look at the mandate of the OPP, it's their mandate for search and rescue in the province of Ontario.
And I think that, go ahead, Holly.
So Richard, I've been in numerous meetings with the OPP where I have stated what you have said, and their response is that their mandate is search and rescue. Search and rescue. When someone is lost, they will search and rescue. They don't do rescue. They will tell you they don't have the equipment, they don't have the training. I have talked specifically to the staff sergeant in Killaloe, and he has said that is not his mandate. The people who are standing up saying it is their mandate is EMS, and it's EMS in Renfrew County. So the decision that needs to be made is whether this council is willing to accept that our closest EMS with off-road capacity is an hour to an hour and a half away. Because right now we're filling a gap because we feel like we need to, where Renfrew County EMS and North Bay EMS don't feel that gap is needed to be filled. So that's what we're making the decision on. It's not OPP. They've said it's not us. It's EMS, and we're filling a gap right now.
Well, then that's what the fire department should look at the bylaw, and it should be developed on your information. And we follow the procedures in the bylaw. And our fire department know it's spelled out to them. This is what the bylaw says you will or will not do.
Yeah, I agree with you, Councillor Shala. I think it's imperative that this be clear. And again, that the taxpayers of South Algonquin are not putting forward money to establish something that is not our mandate to establish. So I think the direction to Chief Kruger is, let's get this worked out. Let's get our bylaw up to standard so that it is very clear to our fire department and to our community where the search and rescue is going to come from and who is going to do it. So again, Chief Kruger, I would respectfully ask that you have the opportunity to look at this and that we bring it back to the committee.
Chair.
I'm sorry, who was that?
It's
Who was that?
Councillor Vermeer.
Go ahead, Councillor Vermeer.
In my short tenure here, we have discussed this. I remember discussing it more than once, and I think this is what Councillor Shallow was referring to, was that we actually had a meeting with the OPP, Renfrew County paramedics, our fire department, in the council chambers, and I was under the understanding that even though we had concerns about our fire department accessing patients on a skidoo trail, that the paramedics would actually go in to stabilize, but they wouldn't transport out. That was the specialty of this other team that Renfrew County has with all the equipment. So by the time that people got in to stabilize the patient, etc., this team would be well on their way to do the transport out. Was that anybody else's understanding, or did I misinterpret what was being said? And this was before the hiring of Chief Kruger, so I just want to try and get him up to speed that we did actually have a meeting regarding this.
I think Councillor Vermeer's recollection of events is right spot on. And I think at that time we agreed that we would assist the EMS, but we would not respond on our own, that the call had to come through the EMS asking for assistance.
Right. I've heard comment here that the paramedics won't go into the bush, but I was under the understanding that they would go in to stabilize, but they wouldn't transport out until this specific team arrived with the equipment and the proper gear.
That's my recollection as well.
Okay.
I would suggest that we need to get the EMS involved in this. I have a meeting this afternoon with the District of Nipissing Social Services Administration Board, which is our EMS services, and just read a document on the enhancement of their ambulance services, and there was never any mention. I will ask this question this afternoon, but there was never any mention of rescue, away from their vehicle. Like that would mean that they would leave their vehicle parked somewhere and go with someone on a snowmobile to do rescue. I will have to ask for clarification on that, because that certainly wasn't represented in the report that I've had the opportunity to read last evening. So there's some clarity that's required here, definitely. And I think we've got good grounds to go forward to have this discussion somewhat further and look at that bylaw. Any
If
other?
I may clarify.
Go ahead, Councillor Shallow.
I do not, but I believe this was the meeting that I was referring to, because this has been a hot topic for quite a few years. And the meeting I was referring to was prior to your term on council. It was at when we were actually holding council out of the Lester Smith building. And we had players from all the different agencies there, and OPP, they direct air rescue, and they basically told us that was their responsibility. So maybe the person in charge in our local area, Killdew Detachment, for example, possibly, maybe he isn't aware. He certainly, I don't believe, was part of that meeting. I think people that have changed in the organization, and but that was the feeling when I left that meeting and went at the Lester Smith building. OPP is in charge.
Richard, I sat in on that meeting. The chief came, the new sergeant came to introduce himself to Holly and I sat in on that meeting, and I would invite him back to this meeting with council, because he was very clear that OPP does not do rescue. And this is an experienced officer who has held positions throughout Ontario and is a senior member of the OPP. So I think it would be good for council to have the opportunity to have the dialogue with him as well. So maybe we can arrange for that to happen at a meeting as well, that you come and everyone hear the same information, that or we all get the same information from him at that time in regards to rescue. So I think it would be important to do that, and we will do that. So
thanks.
All right.
Any other comment? If I can offer a bit of clarity, maybe.
Go ahead, Councillor.
The meeting that Richard is referring to was 10 or 12 years ago, and yes, the meeting that Councillor Vermeer is referring to was only a year and a half or 2 years ago.
Yes, and I think, you know, all organizations have changes occurring in them as to what their procedures and processes are. So I agree. I know Councillor Vermeer is referring to a more recent meeting. So we obviously, I think it would be beneficial for council and for others to hear from the OPP as well. Any other comments in that regards to this?
I just have a quick comment.
Who's that, Councillor Bongo?
Yes, it is.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't. Go ahead.
Sure. Certainly. Yes, I really do look forward to when the chief takes a look at this bylaw and tightens it up, because again, there's some decisions we have to make. In my short term here, I've only been here for a little over 2 years, but from what I've gathered is that yes, we need to specify exactly what the department does and what exactly they do not do, and that really falls upon what our firefighters are trained to do, and also the equipment that they have. And in terms of training, the PTSD training was another thing that kept on coming up as well. So if in our bylaw we are directing our firefighters to these situations, I'm sure Chief Kruger will make sure that our firefighters are not being put in situations that they are not trained for or prepared for. So that's all that I have to say with regards to that.
Thank you. Those are good points. Thank you very much. All right, we'll go forward to the next item on the agenda, and that is the fire service to water access properties. And there is a report from the chief on that. So I would ask you to bring that report up. Thank you. Okay, Chief Kruger, I would ask you to maybe lead the discussion on this, comments, etc.
Okay, thank you. So obviously the first thing that needs to be done is we would need to update or change our E&R bylaw to reflect the change in service level. And then after that, the first thing we would need to do would be looking after purchasing the equipment that would be required and training the firefighters on how to use it. As I outlined in the report, there's a number of different things that need to be done. So at this point, without going through every bit of the report, I think it would be easier if council has the discussion. I'm assuming each member of council has read the report. So I think it would be easier if we just have a discussion about each specific thing and how council feels whether or not we can move forward with this type of change in service.
All right, I would open up. Was that Councillor Vermeer?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Vermeer.
I'm just going to backtrack and try and bring this back a little bit to why this proposal came up. It was just to see if we could, as a township, provide some kind of service to the large quantity of water access properties, not just only on my lake, but there are other lakes in the township where there's water access properties. And I'm not saying this is a tactic, but any tactic used to defeat a purpose is to overwhelm it with goals that are unattainable or not just common sense goals. And I just want to bring this back and put it into a baby steps format that what we were really looking for, what I was specifically hoping to have a discussion about, was not in purchasing a vast amount of equipment, but to actually be able to transport firefighters on a vessel from point A to point B to assist in structural or wildland firefighting. And that was it. It was not to be going out to purchase hovercrafts. The intent was not to do that, or else, you know, if that's the formula we're going to be using, we'd have brand new pumpers in the halls. We'd have brand new rescue trucks in the halls. We'd have an aerial truck for the industry that we have here. And those are all unattainable goals. They're unrealistic. I'm just mainly was looking to see if we could assist a certain portion of the taxation base in our township that seems to get left behind because of the inability and inaccessibility of their properties. And how could we help them to say, you know, maybe we could just get firefighters from point A to point B to transport the gear over. Yes, there are some stipulations into training and requirements for swim testing. You know, these are all safety factors, but that's where I wanted the discussion to be going. Not into purchasing hovercrafts or helicopters down the line or anything ridiculous like that. It was just transportation. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from members of council?
I have a couple.
Go ahead, Councillor Florence.
We seem to be stepping backwards a little bit, but when I was chief, and I admit that's quite a while ago, it was like in the area 18 to 20 years ago, when Allen Lake cottagers were equipping themselves with portable pumps and hose packages, etc. And our fire department did assist them with training. I remember being down there maybe half a dozen Saturday mornings, and a lot of the people that volunteered at that time are probably still resident on Allen Lake, and they would remember that. But I wasn't on council at the time, but the council at that time thought that we were exposing ourselves to liability by teaching people how to fend for themselves, in my opinion. I wasn't on council, so I don't know what the arguments were used to do it. But anyway, that training had to stop. And we actually had a Wajax pump and a 18-horse Honda portable with the appropriate amount of hoses available for those people at Allen Lake. And that's why that concrete bunker is there at the landing. That's where it was housed. It ended up back in the fire hall. The portable pump and the Wajax came back to the fire hall, and the training stopped. So I'm concerned with the same liabilities with our own firefighters doing it. And our own firefighters, probably on a best case scenario, would be an hour and a half from the notification of the fire before they actually got to a point on the lake. And some of them would be even longer than that. So I just want to know that we kind of went down this road before and then backed out of it. That's, okay. I think that the first requirement is to find out if there was any firefighters that would be open to going in a boat. Not everyone is.
Mm-hmm.
That's about all I have to contribute.
Mayor Dumas?
Go ahead, Councillor Harper.
Yeah, before we get involved too much with this, Joe has brought up some ideas here from the past. I was involved with this with the Ministry of Natural Resources at one time. The idea of providing firefighting equipment at the dock down there, training the individuals that would be using it, it went for a while and it kind of died off. The first thing I think needs to be done here is kind of a feasibility study, whether or not it is feasible or not. You know, in a lake, I don't care what time of year you go on a lake, it can be dangerous. In the wintertime right now, I wouldn't want to cross that lake in a skidoo. In the summertime, a wind can come up, it can swamp an 18-foot boat. I've seen it happen. So there's a problem with just getting to the properties, let alone buying all the equipment. And when I see things like hovercrafts, that makes me kind of shudder. That's enough.
Thank you. Any other member of council have a comment?
Mayor?
Go ahead, Councillor Shala.
And myself, please.
Councillor Shala, then Collins.
I believe, I'm not too sure about Lyell Ward, but I think there's water access properties in three other wards anyways, Erie and Sabine and Murchison, I feel. So, but when I look at Hay Lake, I've attended a few of their cottage association meetings there, and they've discussed, maybe they're proactive for themselves, but they've did similar to what Allen Lake was doing. But the last I heard, they had purchased pumps for themselves and hoses, etc., and they had it stationed on a dock somewhere central on the lake where people could respond or people could pick it up and take it or whatever. It was an in-house program, and like I said, I just overheard them talking about it at their meetings. Mayor, you may have been there for one of those. I'm not sure. And maybe it's an alternative. And when I look at some of this other, I certainly look at it under what I think the Occupational Health and Safety Act might want us to do, and then what it might cost the ratepayers. And I'm just trying to look at an alternative as how many times may you need it, and weigh it all out. So anyway, I guess it's risk management.
Thank you for that, Councillor Shala. Any other member of council? I would like to comment. I appreciate the report because it is the chief's responsibility, and I think that to look out for the safety and the well-being of the individuals that do fight on behalf of us on our volunteer fire department. I think, to me, with this report, the most important sentence or part of it is that the other alternative is to continue the status quo for suppression and increase the fire prevention and public education activities for and with property owners with water access only. And I think that that would serve us very, very well if our fire departments were able, as you said, Richard, I know that at property and cottage association meetings, when we bring staff with us to those meetings, it is very much appreciated. And, good dialogue and good conversation happens between the property owners and the fire chief. And, the local municipal representative is there, and I'm usually there. So we have very good dialogue and good conversations. And I remember one of our exercises, our emergency preparedness exercises, and our CEMC, Brian Acney, took us through a forest fire situation. And, I think one of the best things that we can do as a community is have our fire personnel go and look and say to people, and that was said to us when we had that session, look around your house. What's around your house that's going to be, even enhance fire in where you are? What is your own personal preparedness for fire? And I think that I think it's very, very important that individuals look at their own situation, their own lots, where their fire pits are. We have parts of South Algonquin. I think of the Madawaska area where we have the pine tree stands and campfires are in, are around where the trailers and tents are. And it's often in a sandy area that has pine needles on it and dead pine roots in the ground. I think we really, personally, I am very invested in fire prevention and having plans. So I'm sensing that I appreciate the report, and as far as I say, I think that the education component and the opportunity to discuss plans with individuals in a meeting session or whatever is very, very good, because it makes you look at your own situation and have your own plans, etc. Any other comments?
Yes, I was waiting.
Sandra, I apologize. I had your name here. Go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the report, Chief Kruger. I looked at it at length. I think you're trying to compare our township with Georgian Bay and Tay, and they have 2 huge fireboats. They've got 45 volunteers, etc., etc. We do not fit into that into that situation at all. But listening to what Councillor Vermeer has to say, I do believe that we ought to be offering something to our water access people. I don't believe going out there when there is ice on the lake. I think their people won't be there. And I think water rescue in that sense and the need for a hovercraft or putting snowmobiles across ice, I think is a danger that we can avoid. But I don't think that it would be stupid for us to consider maybe even a pre-used simple pontoon boat on a trailer that will carry 4 people and a portable pump. I don't think that that is a ridiculous thing for us to consider with our fire department. With it on a trailer, it can access any of the areas that we need to go to. We do not need a commercial license or a boat operator's license if it carries less than 6 people, and also if the vessel is less than 26 feet in length. It's just a PCO, the operator's card that most of us have anyway. And I think it may be something that we ought to be considering, to get a portable pump across the lake, and actually, even if we're just suppressing the fire around the property, if we can't do anything for the property, we can stop it spreading with a portable pump, or access with some firefighters with backpacks. I don't think it's a ridiculous thing at all, and I think it's something that we ought to be considering. I've got a lot more information. I've looked at a lot more than this, but just in summary, I think it is something we ought to be considering. The tax base for those folks is a huge amount of money coming in, and I really think that they do get forgotten about, and we should be looking after them the same as we look after Whitney and we look after Madawaska. They shouldn't be just supplementing and supporting those areas. We ought to be looking after them too. Thank you.
Any other comments? I would have a comment on that, Councillor Collins. I certainly would not support that. Where do you park the pontoon boat? You hook it onto a truck to take it somewhere. You can only travel at 80 kilometers an hour pulling a pontoon boat, perhaps even less. It would have to be central to service any lake in South Algonquin that has cottages on it. It would require a storage area. The fire, in my mind, I think it would be, personally, I think it would be an exercise in futility that to try to save a structure. And if the fire does extend into the forest, then we're going to have the MNRF involved in the firefighting, because it would be beyond the capacity of a pontoon boat with firefighters on it with a pump. That's my thought. I certainly don't support that, but if other members of council want that to go forward as something that we want the chief to look into, then I would like to hear that now, because I think we've tasked the chief with other things, and we'd have to prioritize some of these issues.
If I may?
Go ahead, Chief Kruger.
So I just want to clarify. So regards to the boat and the licensing, if we were to be sending firefighters with no or with some equipment, because they are responding as firefighters, it becomes a commercial license situation. Any fire apparatus or vessel is a commercial vehicle. So even if we were just to buy a pontoon boat and put a portable pump on it and a handful of firefighters and try and send that across the lake, commercial vessel license is required. It's when it comes to firefighting, it's not about the size of the vessel. It's about the use. So in this case, if we're saying that this boat or pontoon boat is being used for firefighting, even if it's just to shuttle firefighters across the lake, the driver of that vessel still requires a commercial license. So yes, we could buy a cheaper boat and a smaller boat to shuttle firefighters across the lake, but that use then becomes a commercial purpose. And that's why a commercial license is required. So a simple pleasure craft operator's license does not suffice in this situation. And then as far as, everybody keeps talking about the hovercraft idea. The reason I put that in there is because if we're going to say that we're going to provide this service, and make no mistake, I 100% agree with Councillor Vermeer. We do owe those property owners, those taxpayers, some kind of service. But the problem is that we don't have that ability right now. So we need to look at how we can provide them with some service without, creating undue cost on our taxpayers.
Mayor, could I ask a question?
Go ahead, Councillor Shala.
Don, maybe you can tell me. So would you be responding in daylight hours or 24/7 or?
Well, and that was the other part of the discussion around, the possibility of a hovercraft. If we're going to change our E&R bylaw and say that we're going to provide this service to the water access only properties, and there's quite a number on Aylan Lake. I know there's quite a few on Hay Lake. There's some on Mackenzie Lake. There's probably a few others on some of the other even smaller lakes as well. But if we were going to say, yes, we're going to supply this service, are we just going to provide it during the months when we can get a boat across the water? Or are we going to provide it year round? And that's where the conversation becomes, well, how are we going to provide it in the fall and the spring months when there isn't safe ice to go across, or the ice is too thick to get it to get a vessel through there? So, absolutely, that needs to be part of the discussion, and we would have to define that. And
When you run around these lakes, the cottage owner on a lake has a pretty good idea of where some of the shoals and the rock points, etc. are. But if you get people that aren't familiar with it, they know where the landing is, but they're not familiar with the water system. The hazards that might be involved, and then we talk about traveling after dark. There's quite a bit of risk in it.
Correct. The other possible option, but I don't know if it's available, is if there is some kind of a shuttle service or a water taxi on any of these lakes that could transport our firefighters across the water. That, because they would have their commercial license, they would be able to do that. It's just whether or not each lake has that service available.
Okay.
Mayor Dumas,
Go ahead, Councillor Harper.
I find there's too much risk involved here to even consider water access firefighting. We can't put our fellows through something like that. We don't know how to get them over there, the training, the cost, way too much. The idea of prevention and education, yes, but not the rest of it. I cannot go along with that.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Harper.
I have
Anyone?
one more comment, if I may.
Go ahead, Councillor. Who is that? I'm sorry, Councillor
It's Councillor Florent.
Go ahead, thank you.
The first 15 years or so that I was a firefighter and I was the team chief, I officially was in the employ of the fire marshal's office.
Joe, we've lost you. I can't hear you.
He's muted.
You're mute. Okay, you're muted, Joe.
You're muted.
There you go.
Right.
You got
Is
it.
that okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Every single time I brought this issue up with the fire marshal's office, they said that the answer was to have an effective fire prevention program. And that's all I was capable of offering to them. I don't know where I got cut off. My computer did that myself. I didn't mute it. The computer did
it. I think we got the gist, Joe, of what you were saying, and the point you're making in regards to, I think, fire prevention program is very, very important for sure. Any other comments?
Can I just
One
make
after Holly.
Oh, go ahead, Holly, and then Councillor Vermeer.
I heard a number of councillors just bring up the fact that the lake communities don't get service, and we should be doing this because they don't get service. I'm presenting the budget next week, and it's my hope that when we do that, that there's some attention paid to the things that we put in the budget every year that every member of this community gets: policing, health unit, road maintenance. When we think about the number of roads, I was out in Sabine last weekend, and the number of roads that we're plowing out there for 1 or 2 community members is really impressive to me. Waste collection, we talked about that at our last meeting, is second to none. We're collecting waste at the end of roads all over this community. They have a dock, they have access to social services through over $500,000 that we pay to DSAB. I think that, we think that because the communities have more density, we get more tax dollars from them. Maybe we should look at the lake communities as they're paying more taxes for less density. They're getting more privacy, and that's at a premium, especially now with COVID. So I just hope that when you're watching the presentation next week, that you can really pay attention to the things that we're giving all of our community members. I know as long as we have ward systems, we're never going to get away from mine, and who gets what, but I think we really need to start thinking about this community as a whole and not one versus the other and who gets what, because we're too small to fight over, who's getting what, and making sure that everybody gets a little piece of the pie.
Thank you for those comments, Holly. They're very prudent and tie into this very well. Go ahead, Councillor Vermeer.
Yeah, I just wanted to close with, I think it's a very good conversation to have. Whether it gets decided upon, if anything's going to happen or not, it's not irrelevant, but the conversation is good to have. I just want everybody on council to know, and for those that are watching on YouTube, that in my last career, the 30 years that I spent on a urban fire department, the last 15 of that, I was a supervisor and I had people working under me, and firefighter safety is absolutely paramount in my mind. And I would not want to have to risk anybody's life for property. But it was always up to the captain in charge that came there to make those decisions. And I made those decisions many times, whether there was people in a structure or not. If it was unsafe for my crew to go in, I would not send them in. That's where the training comes in. And as long as we adhere to those parameters, I think we'll be fine in any direction we go. And I just wanted to get that out there, that I am not in any manner suggesting that we risk firefighters' lives beyond their training. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Vermeer. Anyone else? So I think at this point, I don't particularly see any further activity going in regards to this, other than the fire prevention and, the process with the individuals, either via the cottage associations or other means to talk about fire prevention and the education for activities for the safety of the individuals. Okay. All right, so the next item on the agenda is vaccination clinic, and I ask that be put on there in regards to, from public health, the rollout of the vaccines eventually into the community and into the broader community. Right now, long-term care facilities, individuals in healthcare, these are the individuals that are currently getting the vaccines. However, is someone trying to say something? Okay, it will be rolling out to the broader community over time. So through the Renfrew County and District Health Unit, teams have been set up to look at the geographical areas within the Renfrew County and District. And our team, South Algonquin, is in a team that is comprised of the townships of South Algonquin, Madawaska Valley, Brudenell, Lindock, Raglan, Killaloe, Haggerty, and Richards, and North Algona, Wilberforce. Dr. Jason Malinowski and Susan Farrar of the Madawaska Valley Family Health Organization in Barry's Bay are the lead individuals for the rollout of vaccines in these 5 municipalities. They are working with township staff, they're working with public health, and this will be probably, again, we all know that vaccines are coming and then they aren't coming from the distributors. So this is a moving target, but the hope is that probably maybe early summer or into the summer, we will be having clinics within our geographical areas where the by a hierarchy of needs, individuals in the communities will begin to be vaccinated. And this will roll out, and staff and Dr. Malinowski and Susan Farrar as the leads will be bringing this to our community, and there will be processes that will be established. It's very, it's safety driven, obviously, for the individuals that are involved in administering and registering. There will be, people will have to be screened, registered, immunized, and then you wait after you have your immunization to ensure that you do not have a reaction. So this will be a huge rollout for every area, and particularly rural areas. So there will be more stuff coming from this team and probably through the township as well, so that individuals are aware of what will be happening. Appointments will have to be made. They will be looking at buildings within municipalities. Have made the offer, all municipalities, that if there are any, if our buildings can be used for this immunization process, that we will make them available. You will understand there has to be an entrance to go in. There will be various places where people will be set up to do the actual immunizations, and the exit will be a different, it's like a 2-door system. So just wanting to let you know that this is in the works. There are tables that are organizing this, and it's by the Public Health Information 2016 census data suggests that our phase 2 target is 3,340 people, and the total phase 3 target will be 12,600 people who will be, that's all the townships combined, that will be identified for immunization, knowing that they've already done all the long-term care individuals. They're doing healthcare providers now, and they are looking at means to get into homes where people are receiving services in their homes. But with the current vaccine that they are using, they come in 6-dose vials. So that is, you know, you don't want to not use every one of those 6 doses. So they are looking, by the time that this rolls out, they're hopeful that we will have 1-dose ampules that can be used to administer the vaccine. So just to know that that is happening in the background. The daily, you can go to the Renfrew County District Health Unit and get the daily statistics as to what's happening in our area and other areas throughout the county and district. So I don't know if there are any questions on that. Just a heads up that it's in the works and things are happening in the background. Any questions? No, thank you. I'll try to keep you up to date with things. And the other item I wanted to add on under the vaccination clinic was just freshet. As I say, the snow is coming down here. I'm sure it is everywhere that you are. And just that freshet activity has started in pulling the groups together, updating mailing lists, etc. I've asked our work superintendent if he could maybe bring something back to us at our council meeting next week. I have some concerns. There are 3 chutes on the Galerie Lake Dam right now that are not accessible for the spring freshet. I don't know what the plans are in regards to those, or what the approach will be with freshet, but we do have a great deal of snow, and hopefully it will be a slow melt, but we'll just wait and get an update from Dave Gatley at our council meeting just as to what's happening at the dam in regards to those 3 chutes that aren't open at this point in time. So those were the 2 things that I just wanted to give you an update on. I don't know if there are any questions in regards to that. I really don't have a great deal of information on freshet other than that they are updating, as I said, the lists of contacts and getting ready to, I would imagine, to commence the meetings in regards to the spring runoff or the freshet. Any comments, questions? All right, thank you. That would lead to the adjournment of the meeting. So I would ask someone to move the adjournment at, let me see, 10:40, is it 10:41? And I'm sorry, if you could just say who would move it and second it, I would appreciate that.
I'll move it.
Thank you, Councillor Vermeer.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Florent. We're all in favor of adjournment of this meeting. All right, thank you, everyone. It was an excellent meeting and appreciate